Today, we're going to be putting down some concrete.
Welcome to 3D Accuracy, where I'll talk about 3D printing, 3D product design, and 3D injection and die-cast mold design.
Let me show you. I've got one problem area. Let me show you what I'm up to. The one that perplexes me a little bit is this one over here. This slab appeared to be poured prior to this slab and that one, which is all one pour as far as I can tell. Where the problem is that there's an inconsistency between the height of this slab and this slab. It's evident up front here. The rest of this is not too bad. It's pretty level from here to here, as it is with this large slab that was poured, and then the expansion joints were troweled in after the slab was laid. So this is level from one side to the other because it's all one pour. So what I want to do here up front is I want to fill this. This side over here is a little bit lower than this side. It ranges from roughly 3/8, quarter of an inch to, feathers out in some spots down to less than 1/8 of an inch maybe. And because of this gap that's in here, that goes down in there. And when I've got the lights on, I can see down in there. And I'm going to fill that with sand. I have sand. I purchased some sand, and I'm going to fill that until it's about 1/2 inch from the top, and then use some filler to fill this expansion joint and smooth it out. And what I don't want, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to be, is when I lay this plank down, where it's going to be in relation to this crack. If it happens to be at the edge of the tile, at the floor plank, you'll see there's an inconsistency between the two. And what I'm concerned with is it'll go down in here and then raise up. And if there's an edge, if it's right at this point, it's going to constantly want to come up. It's going to be a problem, or this will settle on this side and maybe crack the tiles. And then I've got a real issue, and I don't want to be peeling it all up. So what I want to do is bring this part of the floor up to this level, so this slab and this slab are now the same height, and then when I fill this expansion gap with caulk, it won't be an issue. So I've marked a spot on the floor here with pencil, and it's pretty level here. From this side to this side is okay, and from here back, it's not bad. There's a little bit of inconsistency, but the whole floor has a little bit of a up and down and up and down. It's not perfectly level. So what I'm going to do here is when I mix my cement, I'm going to mix it thick enough that I can lay layer of concrete in here and let it adhere to the floor. And I won't drive on it or anything like that. And once I get the vinyl flooring down on it, I think it should be okay. I don't think it'll be an issue as far as shifting, moving, that sort of thing. I've done this before, putting down tiled floors, and so I know it works. If I make it liquid enough, it'll kind of self-level, but because I've got this crack right next to it, I don't want the concrete running in the crack, and now I've got another issue. And I could, put like a cardboard form in there, just stuff it with cardboard to give it something to come up against, but then I don't know when it's the same height as the slab next to it. Whereas if I do this by hand and I come with a trowel, now I can kind of feel. I know where it is in relation to the other side, and I get it closer. So what I'm going to do here is, okay, how do I know where to put the concrete? So we're going to make like a grid. And what I've decided to do is I've got my level here, and like I say, this side isn't bad. And I'm going to come like every 4 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you see from here to here is 4 inches, and you can see where the gap is. And over on this side, it's pretty level. And it's pretty level with this side. There's a bit of a dip. It goes down back here, but that doesn't matter to me because, you know, the tile will conform to that. It's this step that I don't like. And so what I'm going to do here is 4 inches down, and then I'll move this back, and now I can see where does it start to drop from. And in doing this, I can see that I've got a point right here. So I'll make a pencil mark. Okay, and then we'll come another 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll come over here on this guy. And we'll look here. Where's my drop point? See how much that drops? Okay. So here's my drop point right here. Here's my pivot. This is where it's pivoting. We'll go 4 more inches down. Do it again. And you see, from there to there is not a problem. You know, from one side, from here to there is not a problem. It's right in here. And so let's bring this back. Get my trowel out of the way. And run this on a pivot, and it's pivoting right about here. So you see what I've got going here is I now have an area where if I draw this all together, I know I want it this level at this point and feather out to this part of the slab at that point. So I'm going to just measure all the way down the line, and then that way I'll have some kind of a reference as far as where to put concrete. Okay, so there's my 4 inches, and it varies in places because the floor is not, you know, you can see there's a pretty big difference from there to there and not there. So it's pivoting right about here. So you see, darken that up a little bit. You can see where this is going. Okay, so another 4 inches. And measure that out. And from there to there is good. And we're pivoting right about in that same spot right here. Okay, so let's do the rest of this. Try to do this quickly. And then another 4 inches across is good. Where's my pivot? Right in here. It's a little cumbersome to do this holding the camera in one hand and using my other to do this. But you get the idea. Now, this one's a little farther out, which is okay. We'll just go roughly 4 inches. And you can see the drop there, how it's getting deeper in this spot. It's not bad there. It's not bad back here, but right up against where the two slabs meet, there's an inconsistency. And this one is right here. Okay, 4 inches over, do it again. And guys who do concrete for a living, I mean, you guys know all the tricks, you know, because it's what you do. This is not what I do for a living. You know, I invent things and design products and 3D print products and design the injection molds for making the products. So I'm not a concrete guy by trade. But if you have any cool tips and tricks, leave it in the comments. I'd appreciate it. And maybe some other subscribers, viewers would enjoy knowing how to do this sort of thing. If there's a better way to do it, you know, this will work. I think it'll work for my purposes. But it may or may not be the best way to do this, I'm sure there's, guys that know these things, guys and gals that know these things, do this for a living. They probably have tricks up their sleeves that are just perfect for this kind of a thing. Like anything else, anything that someone does for a living, you know all the little tricks. And it's the same with me. I know things about CAD software and doing stuff that, people who don't use it on a daily basis like I do wouldn't know. See, now it seems like it's wanting to lean back in this direction again. Yeah, this is not as bad here. Not as deep here. Yep, it's coming. Oh, get out of the way. It's right about there's the pivot. You can see how it goes. It comes out a little bit, goes back in, comes out a little bit, and now we're heading back in again as it gets closer to the end. You see, we're almost right here to the end already. All right. And see, now this one, actually, this part of the slab is flat. It just bumps up and hits it there. So I think the best way to do this would be just kind of carry on. We'll feather this out so that it go another 4 inches and see what we got. Yeah, see, now this one is level here also. No shift at all. It's just a drop from there to there. So what I'll do is I'll come back. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is feather this from here instead of coming down. I'll bring this back out. Maybe I'll come like across here like this, roughly, with the cement. I think that'll work a little bit better. Sorry about that. I'm right up against the door and I'm kind of jammed between things here. Ooh, now this one drops more. At this point, this is wanting to come back all the way out to here, which is, well, which is okay. Let's bring it to here. This is, to me, this is not exact. See, now that comes back. Now it wants to do this. What do I got here? Now it wants to go like this. All right. And what do we have here? I gotta switch hands here so I can get at this right up against the door. I don't want to open the doors today, which makes the light not as good in here for taking videos, but it's like 91, 92 degrees out today, and it's like 75 in the shop with the doors closed, and I'm not going to open them. I'm going to be comfortable instead of having a little bit more light. So bear with me, please. Okay, so what I've got here is this way, and then it wants to go back this way a little bit, but not as severe as that. So what I'm going to do is chop this, come like so. There, so that's going to be the edge of my concrete line. And I'll bring this, where am I on the video? Here we go. I'll bring this into here. And I'll just kind of blend it in. And once this is all together, then you can see what I'm going to do here. And this should, I think this should smooth it enough that the vinyl planks will work out really well. There, so we plotted it every 4 inches, made a mark, and we know where we're going to trowel in some concrete. We'll just follow that edge and then bring it up to the same level as the floor on that slab, up towards the center. And if I make it thick enough, it should work well without having to stuff cardboard down in a crack or something like that and guess if it's level. I think it'll work fine. So anyway, now I've got to vacuum out the shop, get all the dust up. I've got to wet this a little bit. I've got my water in a pump spray that I have, a pump spray bottle. I've got water ready. I'm going to use this fast set All-Crete. Going to use some of this stuff. I've never used this particular brand before. It's got about a 20-minute work time. And so what I'm going to do is mix it in small batches. I'm not going to try to mix a whole bunch of it and then, level that floor up there in the front and then start patching this across the back. I'm going to do it in small batches, do this little spot, get that done. Then I'll come and I'll do, roughly 10 feet of this and then do another 10 feet, that sort of thing. So I'm mixing the concrete in small batches because they recommend, using a drill and a mixer to mix this stuff up, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to mix it by hand because I'm not mixing a large volume. If you were mixing a whole bunch of it to do a big area at one time, then you'd probably want to do that like they recommend. But doing it in small batches like this, which I've done before and works okay, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So anyway, I need it to be thick enough that it stays where I put it. Thin enough that I can work it. It's a tricky mix. So I just want to do a little bit at a time. Yeah. This almost feels like it has an adhesive in it. It feels gooey. It still feels too thick because I'll run right down the crack. I'm afraid of getting it too thick and I can't even mix it. I think you can get a good angle from there before there's no light. Okay, I'm going to give this a shot. I don't know if the consistency is right. We'll find out when we start spreading it. It's difficult to mix this stuff. Don't step on the, don't step here on that spot. That's where I have to put. Let's get a little of this down and see what it's like. All right. Little different than what I used before.
I think you need to use the board to give the measure.
Well, I have my...
You should use the board, give the wedge, don't let you more.
Yeah, well, this is different than the other stuff that I had before. So this is... Although this seems to want to stick more, which is a good thing. It's just trickier to work with.
You're making some part to try.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah, that's why I start out with a small batch. I don't want to, make a big batch, and then I got glue and it doesn't do what I want it to. All right. Yeah, this stuff almost seems like it has an adhesive in it. I can feel it gooey. I don't know if I like that or not. I'm finding out. Alright, stay away from the door a little bit. I want to get close. See, what I don't want is it running into the hole. I want it to set up outside, not inside that groove. And I thought I may have to put some cardboard in there to hold it up, but the only problem with that is that it makes it difficult to see. Now let's see what it does.
Yes, I told you, you put cardboard, give measure, is range, you working how wide,
Yeah,
how
all
long.
I gotta do is level it enough that, you know, peel and stick floor can go down without being an abrupt, you know, change in elevation. I don't know about this stuff.
How long can dry?
20 minutes. That's why I want to do it in a small batch, because I don't want too much material, especially when I don't know how it responds. Of course, some going down in a crack isn't the end of the world anyway. I got to seal that, put some sand in there. I just wanted to be able to control it a little bit more. Let's try something here. Now I can't see when you get in my light. Yeah. I know it's tricky to get a good camera angle. See, I gotta leave it thin enough I can work it, but thick enough to not go where I don't want it to go. See, any other imperfection I can do with the I can seal with the other stuff. Come on. Boy, this stuff doesn't play nice. I like the other stuff I had before much better. It's actually not bad. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. All I gotta do is get used to using it, because this is much different than the other stuff I had before. Although it does appear to self-level to a degree, which is nice. It doesn't like a thin edge, from what I can tell. And I can tell it's also going to be difficult to clean this bucket out. What I really need is a shallower bucket. This is not good for doing small doses. This little. I just hope all the guys that do concrete for a living aren't cringing right now. What is this fool doing? Right? What is this fool doing? Oh my God. They're having heart attacks right now. Huh? Well, if I give them a good laugh, that's a good thing, right? I think so. Not bad. A little bit. Wait like a thin red. Doesn't like a thin edge. I can't feather it out as much as I'd like to. Now let's see what I can do here. And I'll muscle a little bit more. Okay, look at it. Alright. Wish it was a little cooler today, but it's supposed to get hotter the next several days. Okay, that'll be. Oh, not bad. That's actually doing a nice job. Okay, a little bit more there. So maybe, I don't know, 30 years from now, you think I'll tear this up and redo it in 30 years? You think so? I certainly hope not. It's very thick. It reminds me of, like silly putty. For those who remember what silly putty is. Guys in the Lowe's didn't know what chalk was. I couldn't buy a box of chalk. They didn't know what chalk was. I don't think they'd know what silly putty is either. No, that's okay. Not a problem. Let's see if I can get this off here. There we go. Okay. Feather this edge as best I can so that it doesn't have too much of a step to it. Okay, let's see what we got here. Not bad. A little dip there, but the transition between the two, not bad. Actually, not bad. Clean that off. So what's good, what's really good is here and here matches. It's just about on the same level, and then this tapers back gradually, so there won't be an abrupt step when the floor tile gets laid down. It'll be a smoother transition, and even if it's not level beyond that point, it should be okay because the vinyl flooring is flexible. It's gonna find its home. Okay, gotta mix more. Well, I finished that spot between the two slabs, and I got the imperfection from one slab being lower than the other. I got that smoothed out. Turned out much better than I thought it might. I wasn't sure. The first time I've ever used that material, and it took a little to getting used to. It handled just a little differently than the stuff I'd used before, but that's okay. It was just getting familiar with it and how to lay it out the way I wanted to, and it was just a little fluid, so I discovered, okay, how to get it close to the edge without going down into the crack. And so after I figured those things out a little bit, it was much easier to do, and then the rest of it went more quickly. So just becoming familiar with the product mostly, that's all. It's not, like I say, it's not something I do for a living, so I'm not using this stuff every day where, boy, you get good at it when you use it every day. You know, those guys, they do a job quick and really well done. So, you know, a novice like me, I do it once every couple of years. I do a little of this cement thing or that cement thing, but not, you know, nothing to write home about. So anyway, let me show you what it looked like. There, you can see that whole spot I got done. It turned out really nice. Marking it like I did worked well for me. You know, I didn't go exactly to the line, a little bit over, a little bit less, but that material is difficult to get a clean feather edge on it because it has a thickness to it, you know, a consistency. It's not thin and watery, which if it was, it all would have ended up going down in the crack anyway. So, you know, I couldn't get it to a fine feather edge on the backside, but that's okay. You know, I can always come back and fill that in with a little caulk if I want to. I'll see what it's like once it's dry. And of course, I won't drive over this. I don't park in this over this spot anyway. But once it's all, I put sand. You know, I'm going to put sand down in those cracks. Once I fill that crack with sand to about 1/2 inch from the top, and then put the expansion joint filler in there, it'll be smooth. It'll be clean, smooth, and the tiles, when I put them down, the floor planks, that should work well. So let me show you how this turned out with the level. Can we see this? There. You see how that turned out? There's a little dip here, you know, in the back, it dips down, but that's okay. That's a smooth transition. You know, the floor plank should follow that contour. It's not a big step, and that's what I was looking to get away from, was that big step that was in there. You see how that's gone? It turned out much better. Much better now. You see? And then it drops back here a little bit, but then it touches over here. So there's little dips in the concrete here and there. It's not a perfectly flat floor, and it doesn't have to be, as long as it's within reason, so that when I put the floor planks down, it's not going to keep them from laying flat. You know, these little waves and dips, I don't think will be a problem. You know, so, but it turned out much better, see? So I'm pleased with that. And when I mixed my last batch, I mixed more, so I was able to go to the end, and I had just a little bit left. So before I cleaned out the bucket for tonight, I just touched this spot over here, because you see I'm filling in. I also want to fill this crack. I want to seal that up and then smooth this front edge so I can paint it and it looks nice. I have some concrete paint for doing this border. I thought about doing a vinyl, some of those vinyl borders that you can get, but I've got an issue with inconsistency. You know, in places, the drywall is back behind the edge, and then here the drywall's over the edge, and then I've got this step in here around, you know, 1/3 of the shop. So because of the inconsistency, I thought, let's pass on that. We'll just paint it. It'll make it much easier. So anyway, got that part done, and tomorrow I'll see if I can finish doing all the rest of this face all the way down and across the front. Then it's just a matter of sealing up the cracks, fill in the expansion joints, and everything on the floor is done.
I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're ever in need of 3D product design, 3D injection mold design, 3D die-cast mold design, or 3D printed prototypes or production parts, please feel free to contact me. You can find contact information in the video description. I look forward to hearing from you and to being of service to you. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. See you on 3D Accuracy's next video.